I think Bitcoin is going to continue to trend up. I think it could easily be as high as 150, maybe even higher in kind of a blow off. And then I think we're going to get a correction like we've had in the past. And so that's why I say people have to understand the volatility. I expect gold to go easily touch 3,000. Hell, we're almost there. Maybe 3,500 or 4,000. And I expect the gold stocks to go up 100%. Don't sell now because the light is just starting, the sun is just starting to rise and so this stuff's starting to work.
Lepard emphasizes that the global economy is in a precarious state, largely due to monetary debasement. Governments around the world continue to print money at an unsustainable rate, leading to inflation and devaluation of fiat currencies. He argues that people must understand how this affects their savings and investments, as the purchasing power of traditional currency continues to erode. For those looking to protect themselves, Lepard presents two primary options: gold and Bitcoin. Gold has long been recognized as a store of value, particularly during times of economic uncertainty. However, Bitcoin presents an even more compelling opportunity due to its fixed supply of 21 million coins, making it a unique financial innovation in human history. Unlike fiat currency, which can be endlessly printed, and even gold, which has a modest annual supply growth, Bitcoin is completely resistant to dilution.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
The idea was I want to get the common man to understand, or a woman to understand, that we are in a fiscal mess, that's going to impact their lives in terms of inflation and the stock market, which is very overvalued in the future, and that if they don't have some allocation to gold and or Bitcoin, they're likely to I think experience regret in the next 10 or 15 years. And so yes, I'm arguing for those two things. Now, obviously, as you know, I've gone full crazy orange pill, and I think Bitcoin is a more asymmetric bet than gold, and therefore I own more Bitcoin than I own gold. I didn't start out that way, though. By the way, what's happened is Bitcoin's gone up a lot. But it's a call to try to help people to understand that monetary debasement is going to hurt them, and that the two right choices to solve that problem are gold if you're more conservative and you don't want volatility, or Bitcoin if you want to be aggressive and you want more price performance. But the price performance isn't free, as you know. We've had some huge drawdowns in Bitcoin, and people have to be aware of that when they get involved in it. Look, we're all old enough and smart enough to know that there's nothing in life is certain. Even the success of Bitcoin is not certain. There's technological risks, there are other risks, and so I think when you're investing, you want to construct a portfolio. And what I try to argue, I have a lot of clients who are on the older side, and I never suggest to any of them that they go heavily into Bitcoin. But I do suggest very strongly that they don't have zero Bitcoin because the upside optionality, the asymmetry, and that's basically, look, why do you and I invest in gold miners? Because we know that they have an asset which, generally speaking, the prices and the valuations are so low compared to the underlying value of the asset that if they're able to pull that asset out of the ground on some kind of reasonable terms, they're going to generate cash flows that are multiples of what we're paying, even total market cap right now. And so that's that asymmetry, in a gold bull market and a gold miner bull market, gold stocks go up 10, 20, 50, 100x. And so that's the kind of, and now don't get me wrong, some gold stocks also go to zero. I've owned them. And but if you select them carefully and you get a balance, and you get more that work than not work, that's the beauty of the asymmetry there. So, I think that there's, in life, I think there are room for lots of kinds of investments. About the only thing I do not recommend investing in now, even owning stocks, as overvalued as they are, there are some good stocks, particularly in the commodity space, particularly international stocks. Brazil's very cheap right now. But, the only thing I really think people just are silly or foolish to own is any kind of debt with duration. Treasury bills, 3 months, 6 months, a year, fine. You want to get your 3 or 4%, 5%, that's great. But 10-year at 4%, no. A 30-year at 4%, no. I mean, I think that the owners of those are going to really see substantial diminution. Their wealth is going to go down. I think Bitcoin is going to continue to trend up. I think it could easily be as high as 150, maybe even higher in kind of a blow off. And then I think we're going to get a correction like we've had in the past. And so that's why I say people have to understand the volatility. I expect gold to go easily touch 3,000. Hell, we're almost there. Maybe 3,500 or 4,000. And I expect the gold stocks to go up 100%. So I think gold stocks are going to be a very good place to be for the next year. Finally, I got to tell you, Trey, it's been a really tough slog. And even I, who am a big, huge believer in this whole category, have been discouraged. And so anyone who's in the gold stocks and has been discouraged, I totally get it. But I would just say, don't sell now, because the light is just starting, the sun is just starting to rise, and so this stuff's starting to work. So the other wild card here, we haven't talked much about it, but I want to make people aware of it, is this potential gold reset. Look, the Trump administration realizes the monetary system's a mess, and they're trying to figure out a way to solve it. And one of the ways to solve it is to reset gold at a higher price. So that's being discussed. And if that occurs, think of the implications on these gold stocks. I mean, they're finally, Trey, going to see some love. As you know, Bitcoin is a monetary network with a fixed supply, so it's accruing value in kind of that same way, right? So, therefore, like I say again, I think the important takeaway from anybody watching this and skeptical of Bitcoin is to learn more about it and accept the possibility that you don't have to buy a lot of it. But because of this network, growth and valuation growth, you might really experience regret if you don't have some of it.
A key wild card in the monetary landscape is the potential for a gold reset. Lepard suggests that policymakers, particularly under a Trump administration, may look at revaluing gold as a way to stabilize the financial system. If this happens, gold prices could be reset significantly higher, benefiting those who hold gold and gold-related assets. The implications of a gold reset would be massive, particularly for gold mining stocks, which are already undervalued. This could serve as a catalyst for their long overdue re-rating in the market. Meanwhile, Bitcoin continues to grow as a parallel monetary network, accruing value due to its fixed supply and increasing adoption.
A lot of people think that Bitcoin's going to instantly flip gold, and I don't think that's going to happen, because there are 8 billion people on the planet that understand that gold is money. And it is, until Bitcoin came along, it's the soundest form of money. But the once in humanity, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but it really, I say that because, until Bitcoin came along, everything that, and we all know that money is somewhat of a collective illusion. It's what we all agree has, exchange value. I mean, this is Karl Menger's Austrian term. I mean, it's all a matter of perception. I mean, we perceive the dollar has value because we can go buy things with it. And, there was a time when that was shells and salt, and there have been tobacco, and lots of things have been used for money, but the dollar is what we use today. And until Bitcoin came along, here's the important point. Until Bitcoin came along, every form of money, every single one before, had dilution, which is to say that its supply grew over time. So the number of monetary units grew. Now, gold was the best. It grew the smallest at 1.7% a year. But it still grew. And in 50 years, we'll have twice as much gold on the planet. It's still much better than fiat, obviously. So here comes Bitcoin, and a lot of people say a deflationary currency can't work. We can talk about that, but here comes Bitcoin with a scheduled fixed supply of 21 million. That's it. And so that's different. That's really different. And I don't think hyperbolically, I kind of compare it to there was an era pre-air flight, and then there was air flight, or there was an era pre the telegraph, and then there was the telegraph, it's an invention. It's a type of money without any dilution. And that I submit that's an invention it's a meaningful invention, because we've had thousands of years of monetary dilution in history, and now we don't have it in this new form of money. So that's why I make the statement. I know it, to some people, I know it's hard to get your arms around it, and it sounds extreme, but it's factual. I mean, it's a form of money based on math. I actually think that in the next 6 months, my gold stock fund is going to vastly outperform Bitcoin. I mean, because it's just so damn cheap right now. And the reason, as you and I have discussed this in the past, the reason why the gold stocks are so beaten up it was simple. You go to Bloomberg and you'd look at the projections that, the consensus projections for the price of gold. And as you know, gold broke out of 2070 in kind of March of last year, and it squirted up to 2,500, 2,600. But the consensus was that was an anomaly and it was going to come back down. Mm-hmm. And as you also know, the average the all-in sustaining cost of pulling it out of the ground has gone up with inflation, of course. And so people were thinking, well, yeah, you're getting bigger margins now, but they won't last. Mm-hmm. And that's why the stocks didn't move. And I think that what's going to happen is there's going to be a reawakening and people are going to realize, oh, you know what? This 2,600 is not going down to 2070. Mm-hmm. We're actually going to 29, and then we're going to 32, and then we're going to 36. And yeah, the ASICs are going up, but boy, right now, as I'm sure you're aware, I've got companies in my portfolio that they're printing 50 and 60% gross profit margins. I mean, on the price of the gold they sell versus the cost of taking an ounce out of the ground. Now they got to pay for the capex and capital costs, but that's a huge margin. I mean, there's almost no other industry that makes that much money on a per unit basis. 14 years ago, every government in the world said, oh my, this is a real threat to our fiat currencies. We need to make this illegal, tax the hell out of it, and threaten to send people to jail if they use Bitcoin. They could have killed it very easily back then. It was just too small. And, everyone would say, why do I want to mess with that? The governments hate it, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't. Mm-hmm. And so now we're here, and it's kind of like, in my view, it's kind of unstoppable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's very hard to roll back all of that history. And if somebody tried to start another one, it would be vulnerable to that 51% attack issue. So, I'm not saying something better can't come along, and I always have my eyes open for that. But boy, if you look at the number of users and the size and the compute power, there's nothing even close. And so it would take something really substantial to bring something else along. And even if that happened, you'd have time to make the change. Silver has kind of been demonetized by gold, and yet it's not worthless. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about would be another coin demonetizing Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so there would be a transition period. It wouldn't happen in 2 days.
Lepard urges them to at least learn more about it. He doesn't believe Bitcoin will instantly replace gold, as gold has been recognized as money for thousands of years. However, the unique properties of Bitcoin make it an incredibly powerful financial tool. The growth of Bitcoin's network effect means that as more people adopt and use it, its value continues to increase. Ignoring Bitcoin entirely could lead to future regret, as its asymmetric upside is unlike anything seen in traditional finance. Even a small allocation could provide significant portfolio benefits over the long run. Please like and subscribe.